towns I gotta see, so many places in my head, so many places I could be. You can't stop me now, never gonna hold me down. You can't stop me now, never gonna hold me down. When you tell me that you're gone, I know I've heard it all before. From the memories in your head, you see me running for your door. You can't stop me now, never gonna hold me down. You can't stop me now, never gonna hold me down. Can't stop me now, never gonna hold me down. You can't stop me now, never gonna hold me down. You can't stop me now, never gonna hold me down. You can't stop me now, never gonna hold me down. You can't stop me now, never gonna hold me down. You can't stop me now, never gonna hold me down. I'm gonna be there tonight. I'm gonna meet you in the stars nearby. And I've been waiting for so long now, looking out for all the signs. I've been waiting for you, Jesus. 1,000 years is not so long to wait on you. When I was just a child, everything was gonna be alright. I had my faith in the end of time. I really felt that this hope was mine. But here I am, much older now, and still I'm waiting for you to appear. And even when the darkness falls, I will not be led by fear. I'll be waiting for you, Jesus. 1,000 years is not so long to wait on you.
Hello and welcome to another SDA Q&A. I'm your host for today, Peter Dixon, and I've decided to begin Season 7. This is Season 7, Episode 1. Great to have a good audience today. Merry Christmas to everybody. Hope you had a great time. I certainly did. My daughters, Ruby's nearly 10 and Renee just turned 11. Had the best Christmas ever, and I did too, watching it through their eyes. It was amazing. So I'm always a bit nervous doing these shows. I'm not really a natural reaction video kind of guy, and I watch some of my friends and others that do YouTube reaction videos, and they're just really good at picking a topic and just talking about it. Miles over there on Answering Adventism can pick a topic and talk for ages. It's amazing. And he's great with guests as well. So what I'm trying to do is something a little bit different, something in between. On Tuesdays, normally, our time, New South Wales, Sydney, I'll be doing short reaction videos. On the Wednesday, I'll be doing about 40-minute long brief interviews with people. And I'm hoping to get Cherie Whitaker with us tomorrow at this time. And then Thursdays, I'll keep going with our long form interviews where we get to dig deep with guests. But what I'm doing that's different is in these reaction videos, the shorter ones like today, I'm hoping to kind of bring up a topic, but engage with you guys, what you think, what's your comments and thoughts and questions, and I'll be bringing them up onto the screen. And that takes the pressure off of me to just ramble on for 20, 30 minutes or 10, 20 minutes. And it means that I get to learn about things from your perspective as well, and it helps to build our community. I mentioned those dates: Tuesdays short, Wednesdays medium, Thursdays long. That's Sydney, New South Wales time. For our friends in the States, it's that would be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday evenings. LA time at the moment, 5:30, and you guys can work out the rest. So what are we doing? What are we doing? Today's theme, and I'll just before we go, let's just bring up some hello from Laurie White. George is watching. Oh, you like that music better than the rockin' music? I'm glad you mentioned that, because I did have a comment about that. So, the intro music there, the last 2 minutes, is a song called I'll Be Waiting, which I wrote many years ago, and it is available if you want to go and have a listen there on Spotify. And I wanted to play that, and if you like later on, you can go back and listen. It's a song where I feel like, at the time I was wrestling with this idea of how soon is soon. A lot of our leaders were saying the return of Jesus is imminent, and I could trace right back to the early history of Adventism, and back there, Ellen White, of course, was teaching that it was very soon, very near. And I, like many progressive Adventists, kind of interpreted that, and instead of kind of going bonkers and being stressed out of our brains that it wasn't soon, while also maintaining an end time loop, paradoxically, simultaneously, I felt like it's in your time, God. And so I wrote that song, I'll Be Waiting. 1,000 years is not too long, I sing in one of the verses. And so in my mind, I was able to conclude that my hope was that it was soon, the return of Jesus, but that if it wasn't, that's okay. I could live with that. So in today's talk, I just wanted to mention that so that you kind of keep that in mind. In today's talk, which I've called How Soon is Soon, I want to talk about some broader issues about Not necessarily what you may personally have concluded, like I did in that song, that it's okay, I'll wait 1,000 years, but I hope it's soon. I want to wrestle with some ideas that maybe the Adventist Church is kind of using the soon is soon, any day now, to bring more members in. I wonder what your thoughts are on that. I wonder what your thoughts are about, no, Pete, it is soon, it is imminent, it's going to happen within the next 2 years. If you have those thoughts, I'd love you to share them as well. So I'm going to give a little bit of background, and I can see comments coming in, and that is fantastic. We've got Paracu Posamos coming there from Texas. Andy Mack is back watching from Perth. We've got GD. Hey, Peter. It's awesome. And we've got Mark Anthony saying, great testimony. Thank you, Mark. And I wrote that song. It's 12 years ago now. 20 years ago now. So, yeah, that's how I thought and felt back then, and that's how I came to terms with it. But let's look at the broad spectrum. Miles is here, and I hope you heard my little plug there a few minutes ago, Miles. At what point is imminency no longer imminent? It's imminent for 170 plus years. Exactly. And that's one of the big things I want to talk about. Because if your church, your religion, your movement is claiming that the return is near, okay, you can then go on and justify, well, when Jesus says and 1,000 years is all okay. But when you are claiming that you are the remnant with the message for these last days, I think that you have to admit your term imminent or soon or near is no longer special after a certain amount of time. I don't know what that time is. I think the use by date has come and gone, but many Adventists don't. But if you are claiming it, that you are the remnant with the last message and the return is soon, get ready. The signs are here, and you're banging on about the signs all the time. I don't know. It seems to lose its shine, I think. And again, I'm interested in your thoughts in the comments, but I want to set the scene a little bit more for those who are watching and perhaps don't know too much about Adventist belief in the second coming. And I thought I'd kick it off by playing you a very brief Ted Wilson video clip on his thoughts on this imminent return. One last quick little thing. If you're writing on Facebook, please put your name in the comment. Otherwise, it just comes up as Facebook user. And I'll still read it if it's important and interesting. But it's much better if I can identify you as well. Anyway, let's watch this clip. Give me a second to get it right. And I apologize if any ads come in the middle. I'll try and stop.
The Bible tells us the Lord himself will descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of an archangel, and with the trumpet of God. Shout will be heard around the world. The next part of the verse tells us it will wake the righteous dead, and they will rise to meet him in the air, along with the righteous living. Oh, what a wonderful day that will be. Ellen White gives this beautiful description. Christ is coming with power and great glory. While the wicked flee from his presence, Christ's followers rejoice. To his faithful followers, Christ has been a daily companion and familiar friend. They have lived in close contact, in constant communion with God. They are prepared for the communion of heaven, for they have heaven in their hearts. Our Seventh-day Adventist fundamental belief, number 25, states, the second coming of Christ is the blessed hope of the church, the grand climax of the gospel. The Savior's coming will be literal, personal, visible, and worldwide. When he returns, the righteous dead will be resurrected, and together with the righteous living will be glorified and taken to heaven. But the unrighteous will die. The almost complete fulfillment of most lines of prophecy, together with the present condition of the world, indicates that Christ's coming is near. The time of that event has not been revealed, and we are therefore exhorted to be ready at all times. Of course, the question often asked is, when is he coming? Christ's disciples asked him that question, and Jesus answered by pointing to prophecy and encouraged them to look for signs of fulfillment. Now learn this parable from the fig tree, he said. When its branch has already become tender and puts forth leaves, you know that summer is near. So you also, when you see all these things, know that it is near at the doors. He then warned, but of that day and hour no one knows, not even the angels of heaven, but my Father only. You see, the prophecies of Daniel and Revelation make it clear we are at the end of time. For example, Bible scholars recognize the prophecy of Daniel 2, with its image representing kingdoms of the world, reveals that we are really living in the very tips of the toes of that image. The next and final event will be the second coming of Christ. Other signs indicated in Scripture have also been fulfilled and are continuing to be fulfilled. You can read more about the second coming at the URL shown below. Friends, we are literally on the very doorstep of that great cataclysmic, earth-shaking day when our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ returns to take us home. Nevertheless, there are some who doubt the Lord's coming is near. This should not surprise us as we read in 2 Peter chapter 3, verses 3 to 7. Scoffers will come in the last days, walking according to their own lusts, and saying, where is the promise of his coming? For since the fathers fell asleep, all things continue as they were from the beginning of creation. Now, Peter points out these scoffers willingly forget God created the heavens and the earth, and that there was a worldwide flood. He then warns that one day all will be destroyed by fire. Peter then gives important instruction and encouragement to those who believe. Beloved, do not forget this one thing, that with the Lord, one day is as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years as one day. The Lord is not slack concerning his promise, as some count slackness, but is long-suffering toward us, not willing that any should perish, but that all should come to repentance. He then urges us, since the earth and all things in it will be destroyed, to consider what kind of people we ought to be in holy conduct and godliness, looking for and hastening the coming of the day of God. Therefore, beloved, looking forward to these things, be diligent to be found by him in peace, without spot and blameless. What a calling we have, staying close to the Lord and allowing him to guide us as we eagerly look forward to his coming. The book of Hebrews encourages us, do not cast away your confidence, which has great reward. For you have need of endurance, so that after you have done the will of God, you may receive the promise. For yet a little while, and he who is coming will come and will not tarry.
And some music starts coming, swelling in the background, which I have to quickly pause because of copyright. Interesting there, and that kind of sets the scene, I think, for the official Adventist view. Ted Wilson talks about signs, talks about how important the message of the second coming is within Adventism, and he talks about that it is part of the fundamentals, fundamental number 25. And it's interesting that he gets to have a little jab in there for anyone who doubts. Instead of allowing for people to question, which is kind of my thought on the topic, is that people should be able to agitate, ask questions, ask why. he immediately says those that doubt he as scoffers. He refers to I think it's Peter, one of the texts in Peter, that calls those who are doubting scoffers. I'd like to suggest if you doubt, it doesn't mean you're a scoffer. I really like to move that kind of classic Adventist ad hominem attack. Just because you oppose doesn't mean you have an axe to grind, that you're bitter, that you're a scoffer. Let's try and remove that from the language, shall we? So he also says there, we are on the very doorstep. So I just want to read a few things here that I've just kind of prepared some quotes, and then I'm going to open it to the floor. So if you've got some questions and things you'd like to add, please do so in about 5 minutes time. And I'll just turn off the comments my end just for a few minutes so that I can read some of these quotes, create a picture of where Adventists have come from, and does claiming the nearness with the inference that it's literally within a couple of years, is that starting to lose its power? I remember interviewing Fritz Guy, and I was sad that he passed away not that long ago. I wanted to bring him back and have a conversation with him because he had some very interesting things to say on this topic. And in my interview with him, he touches on it. Okay, so essentially we need to realize that the Seventh-day Adventist movement began because of William Miller's prophecies and predictions of the Lord's return, eventually settling on a date, not necessarily him, but Snow, I think it was, October 22, 1844. So an important thing to remember, yes, the Adventist Church didn't officially form until 1863-ish, but it's important to note that all of the doctrines, teachings, its belief in the Sabbath and the soon return of Jesus, all percolated and formulated and were endorsed by Ellen G. White during that period of time. So here's what she had to say about William Miller. So she didn't say he wasn't correct. She confirmed his predictions. Adventists just believed that his interpretation of Jesus returning was incorrect, that in fact something did happen that night, October 22, 1844. It wasn't the return of Christ, but it was Christ beginning a new ministry, a new phase. And that phase was the judgment, the investigative judgment, the sanctuary, and it was a calling for people to become ready. And they spent a lot of time working out what being ready meant, and that Jesus was coming so soon. You had a short period of time to be ready. I'll read some quotes about that as well. But here's what she was saying about William Miller first. She said, I saw that God sent his angel to move upon the heart of a farmer, William Miller, who had not believed the Bible, and led him to search the prophecies. Angels of God repeatedly visited that chosen one and guided his mind and opened his understanding to prophecies which had ever been dark to God's people. The commencement of the chain of truth was given him, and he was led on to search for link after link until he looked with wonder and admiration upon the word of God. Later, I hope to get fancy and, like Miles, be able to bring up stuff onto the screen more effectively, quotes and whatnot. He does a great job with that. Now, so Adventists pretty much kicked off in 1844, gathered together, and a movement was formed that became official, as I said, in 1863. And Ellen endorsed the dates that William Miller had produced. How am I going so far? So I want to now talk about Ellen in that time period. This is her in 1850. And Steve Daly has got some interesting things to say about that 7-year period, 1844 to 1851. There's a lot of evidence to suggest that Adventists truly believed the Lord was returning in 1851. So here she is, and June 27. In a view given June 27, 1850, my accompanying angel said, "Time is almost finished. Do you reflect the loving image of Jesus as you should?" Then I was pointed to the earth and saw that there would have to be a getting ready among those who have of late embraced the third angel's message. Said the angel, "Get ready, get ready, get ready. Ye will have to die a greater death to the world than you have ever yet died." I saw that there was a great work to do for them, and but little time in which to do it. That's Early Writings, page 64. Also in Early Writings, a couple of pages later, some of us have had time to get the truth and to advance step by step, and every step we have taken has given us strength to take the next. But now time is almost finished. Sorry, I shouldn't do that. And what we have been years learning, they will have to learn in a few months. They will also have much to unlearn and much to learn again. That's page 67, Early Writings. Now, after that date passed, 1851, there was a fair bit of work kind of realizing that maybe it wasn't as soon as they thought. But Ellen nevertheless continued to believe it was imminent. And Wikipedia means, oh, let me just bring that up. I'll quickly find that. Actually, no, I won't. I'll wait a bit. I'll come to that definition. So this is important in the sense of Ellen White again, 1856, suggesting that the time was soon. At a conference in 1856, Mrs. White declared, "I was shown the company present at the conference, said the angel, some food for worms, some subjects of the 7 last plagues, some will be alive and remain upon the earth to be translated at the coming of Jesus. All who were alive then are now dead." This prediction was not fulfilled. And you can find that in EGWC. I can't remember what that stands for. Page 102, paragraph 1. Now I'll read another quote here, another message. This is a letter. And just give me a moment to find it. Get your questions ready. We're nearly wanting to open up some of your thoughts there. Okay, so let me read you this. This was in I think, I'll confirm later, I think 1895-ish. "You were not well, but I was glad to see whose strength you were relying on. You will find it a sure foundation. We firmly believe that Jesus is coming a second time. All the prophecies point to it. There was never a time when the world was perplexed as now. The famine is raging in India, the plague all over the world. Sydney is getting very bad. There have been a good many deaths. Thousands of people are being inoculated every day, and this terrible war, and now France intends to go to war in 2 years with England, and that is about the time that we think will commence the universal war, and then probation closes. That decree that is in Revelation 22:11, where he that is unholy be unholy still. There is no getting good when that war takes place. It has all been decided before then. All our characters have been tried. The plagues get worse. The famines get worse. The fighting gets worse. So let us see that we have made God our habitation. Then nothing hurts us. For in the 51st Psalm, it is promised protection for God's people in this time of trouble. It says that it will all come in a day, meaning a prophetic day, which is a year. So keep on the right track, which is the narrow way, and you will come out all right. So goodbye and God bless is the prayer of your loving mother. I can't attend you now, but I know whose hands I leave you in can do it and will. And who do you think that was written by? That was my great-great-grandmother, E. Hodgkinson. And I think the late 1800s. I'll have to check with my mother, who just turned 86. Happy birthday, Heather. She can maybe confirm in the comments if I got that right. So we're establishing here that almost at every point in time, at least every couple of years, Adventists can look to signs that are happening in the world and say, whoa, it's soon. We're on the brink. We're on the edge. As Ted Wilson said, we're on the doorstep. And Adventists are good at saying, don't question this, because if you question it, you're a scoffer. And look, I'm seriously not trying to upset people by talking about this. A lot of people find a lot of solace in the idea. People have lost loved ones, find a lot of solace and peace in the idea that they will soon see those loved ones again. I'm suggesting that, we all leave this mortal coil sooner than we'd like. And if the Christian teaching is correct, then soon enough you will be joined with your loved ones. And I'm hoping that in the meantime that Adventists can maybe take a new look at this, and instead of feeling like on the brink, they can enjoy life a lot more and remove that sense of fear that can be associated with this imminent, near, on the doorstep, which is fine. But as soon as you add, make sure you're ready. And as soon as you add, so as in the times of Noah, right? A few people made it onto the ark and everyone else was destroyed because of their bad behavior. If you can remove some of that, then Adventism can maybe be a place where people can avoid these pitfalls, potholes. I'm reminded of when I was about 7. I was listening to a sermon. So we're jumping through the years now. We started with William Miller, 1844, 1850s, late 1800s. If you examine Adventist history, you'll find that from Ellen White's death right up to the 70s that I'm about to talk about now, there was constant soon return. What's the word for it? It'll come to my mind later, but there was a lot of that kind of talk. Now, I believe, and I might be wrong, but Pastor Heffron, a famous Adventist of that era, was preaching at Avondale College, then now Avondale University. Congratulations, Avondale. Go Avondale. Great place. And we were sitting there. I would have been 7. So this is about 1968. And I think Pastor Heffron was speaking from the front. And the auditorium was packed. It sat about 2,000 people, and it was packed. And there was excitement in the air as Pastor Heffron preached. And he said that based on the signs that he could see at that time, he could not see the earth lasting for more than 2 years. Now, that had a huge impact on me because I kind of decided not to really worry too much about doing stuff, because I thought, well, it's coming soon anyway. Don't worry about finishing grade 6, coming soon anyway. Don't worry about, as time went by, year 10, year 12. Oh, don't need to put too much effort in. He's coming anyway. Marriage, what? It's coming soon anyway. Don't put too much intentional work into all of that. So I kind of just flowed through life. I think in many ways not really kind of going the extra mile with self-improvement in some ways. Anyway, that's a whole other topic and I might be wrong. So yeah, as I said, I'm not saying this to discourage people. I think a lot of joy can be found if you're a Christian and the Christian teaching is correct. There's lots there for having an abundant life and the knowledge that you will see your loved ones soon enough. We all leave this mortal coil pretty fast. Okay, just a couple more texts here, comments, quotes. Let's see. So Adventists from Ellen to current apologists all claim that Christ hasn't returned because we haven't been following the message accurately or fully. So I wanted to finish this part of the program before I open it up to you guys, just looking at a couple of comments that Ellen White wrote on this. Why hasn't Christ returned? So you cannot constantly preach the imminent, soon, on the doorstep, near return of Jesus unless you can, every couple of years wheel out the reasons. And it turns out the reasons are you and me. We're the reasons that Christ hasn't returned. So and people wonder, why do Adventists fall into the trap of last generation theology? It's obvious to me when you read these quotes from Ellen. I'll just read 3 and then we're going to get into the questions and comments that you guys have raised. And if there aren't many, it'll be a short show. But if there are, we'll have a good little discussion. The first one, she wrote this in Testimonies for the Church, Volume 6, page 449 in 1900. Had the purpose of God been carried out by his people in giving to the world the message of mercy, Christ would ere this have come to the earth, and the saints would have received their welcome into the city of God. I apologize. I've got this little thing I add, which is slightly, what's the word? I don't know, slightly, satirizing it. And I didn't do it when I read my great-great-grandmother's checks, you see. That's a relative. And I can promise you, when I was a full believing Seventh-day Adventist, I wouldn't have mocked Ellen White in any way. But sometimes, after a 55-year commitment to the Adventist Church and being marinated in it for 5 generations before that, before I was born, down through the ancestors, I don't know, sometimes I feel like I have the right to have a little bit of a, come on now, guys, this is getting a bit silly. This is a bit ridiculous. Anyway, 1900 again. This is Christ's Object Lessons, page 69. Christ is waiting with longing desire for the manifestation of himself in his church. When the character of Christ shall be perfectly reproduced in his people, then he will come to claim them as his own. Now, people often say, look, Ellen changed her view through time, and this is cherry picking. I tell you what, it's easy to cherry pick. You just open Great Controversy, flick it to any page, and you'll find something like this on almost every page. He's waiting, longing to see the manifestation of himself in his church. Not the church, as in the body, Christian body, but in the Seventh-day Adventist church. That's his church. That's the remnant. That's the church that's coming in with a last time message of what? The soon return of Jesus. What do you got to do? Get ready. How do you get ready? You have to show that Christ is perfectly reproduced in his people. That's a bit of last gen theology right there. And then he will come to claim them as his own. And 2 quick ones. Had Adventists, after the great disappointment in 1844, held fast their faith and followed on unitedly in the opening providence of God, receiving the message of the third angel, and in the power of the Holy Spirit proclaiming it to the world, they would have seen the salvation of God. The Lord would have wrought mightily with their efforts. The work would have been completed, and Christ would have come ere this, as in before this, to receive his people to their reward. And this is from Selected Messages, Book 1, page 67 and 69. This is the last one. But in the period of doubt and uncertainty that followed the disappointment, many of the Advent believers yielded their faith. Dissensions and divisions came in. The majority opposed with voice and pen. The few who, following the providence of God, received the Sabbath reform and began to proclaim the third angel's message. Many who should have devoted their time and talents to the one purpose of sounding warning to the world were absorbed in opposing the Sabbath truth, and in turn the labor of its advocates was necessary, spent in answering these opponents and defending the truth. Thus the work was hindered, and the world was left in darkness. Had the whole Adventist body united upon the commandments of God and the faith of Jesus, how widely different would have been our history. So there we have a bit of a nutshell of Adventism and soon return. And, sorry again if I've offended those for the way I read sometimes this, but I think it's really important that Adventists come to terms with this, because if you are the true church, the remnant church, with a last days special message, the three angels' messages, and your claim is that you've got to get ready and Jesus is coming soon, and he'll come sooner if you're even more ready, if you stop not following the Adventist message as it should be followed. If you're making that claim as a denomination, you cannot go on indefinitely. You cannot go, as I had concluded, that I hope it's soon, but 1,000 years is not too long. You can do that on a personal level. You can do that in an official capacity as well, but the one who makes that claim from the official capacity must realize there is a use by date, where Adventism must admit to having failed their God-given work. And that can only mean that they have to go, look, we were wrong, we failed, something new might come in the future. We'll keep going as a movement, but we cannot make that claim anymore. That's my thought anyway. Okay, so again, one last time, not wanting to offend people who genuinely believe this. There's so much solace and peace that can come to you from thinking it's happening soon, but you have to also realize that is not healthy for so many people who live in constant fear. Am I ready? He's coming soon. It's the perfect kind of storm. Adventism is the perfect storm for creating a group of people to perpetuate this kind of feeling. I had a friend who's a psychologist, and she said that she would see a lot of Adventists that had trauma based on this teaching, and she called it the end time holding pattern. Okay, so I'm going to bring up some comments. George has written at some point there, we need to decide, will we focus on the Bible or Ellen G. White? Thanks, George. Good point. Mark Anthony has written, reminds me of first Great Awakening in UK and US that was full of such rhetoric. 1730 to 1740s, 400 years ago. And Miles has written, thanks for that, Mark, such a joke. Christians who have made the biggest splash for the kingdom of God in history didn't have the mindset that they would be leaving soon. It's a good point there, Miles, and encourage people to go and check out his channel. Okay, I'm just bringing everything up here that people write. By the way, thanks again for your support in donations. You can take a little scan of the QR code up the top there, and some of the donations I got last week will really help me carry through this next few weeks where, finance is not rolling in that much due to it being the silly season. Okay, Laurie White has written, how do the leaders of the SDA determine when the return will occur, and why is now to be soon versus at the first time a date was set by them? Yeah, very good point. How do they do that? They usually do it as if they have not even thought about the past. They do it like they've not even read any of their own statements. Every time an Adventist hops up and says, look what's happening there in Russia and Ukraine and Palestine and Israel, look what's happening, that means the Lord is coming soon. And as you saw there in my letter from my great-great-grandmother, she was referring to wars that were happening. She was referring to pandemics. It's like the Adventist apologists pipes up as if they have not looked behind them historically and go, oh, look at that happening. Jesus must be coming. Just drives me nuts. Kimberly Green, Laurie, answering to Laurie just there, they generally have interpreted events because they know that they have no particular dates. My family has been in Adventism for over 100 years, and every year is the year. And even in, thank you, Kimberly, and even in that message that Ted Wilson said, that was about a year ago, even in that message, he's talking about the day and the 1,000 years, and it's today. It's coming today. Like, am I the only one that not people that have left the church, not people that are on the fringe, but within those that are Adventists, current Adventists, progressive or traditional, am I wrong in at least bringing up this topic and discussing it to try and work it out? Or do you all think I should just be quiet about it and, hey, just sit back, it's in God's time, it's in Jesus' time? I've already said that I'm okay with that. In my song, 1,000 years is not too long. I'll be waiting for you, Jesus. That's what I wrote 20 years ago. I'd probably write different lyrics now, but that was me then. And it was very heartfelt in the sense that, boy, I believed it. So I know that we can hope for soon, but live and rest in the knowledge that it might be 1,000 years. But my point today is, can the church as an institution claiming to be the last days remnant continue calling this soon, imminent, near, on the doorstep, and have credibility? Can they continue to do that? Do you think I'm asking a valid question, those of you that are in the church? Okay, and I think Laurie has responded to Kimberly. I have a cousin who is SDA, and I grow weary of him yelling with hysteria for coming. It's about to happen. But he doesn't say why now is the time. I wonder if Adventists say they don't set dates anymore, but I wonder, by saying soon, it's like a date, isn't it? It's like a date setting. It's kind of a date setting. So instead of going today, or he didn't come back when we thought, they've gone soon. So there's this time period, this holding pattern. It's almost like date setting. It's a 2-year kind of date setting thing. Andy Mack, great to have you commenting and watching. How's your journey? You've been on a massive journey, haven't you, the last 3 months? Matthew 24:19, woe to you with kids. That verse sent me into a real tiz. I was alone with 3 kids and thought we would have to run any day. 2 more children and 6 grandchildren later. Yeah, and that's Matthew. So the apostles were caught in this end time loop as well. Obviously what Jesus said to them that made them think that is A, either wrong, or B, they've interpreted what Jesus said incorrectly. I would like to think they misinterpreted what he said. We've got the terms imminent and imminent. So imminent means existing or operating within, inherent, which may be what Jesus was talking about. And we've got, where is it? Imminent, which is about to happen. So they're two very different interpretations. And maybe Jesus was meaning imminent, and everyone else has got it wrong, thinking it was imminent. Okay, so back to the comments. Laurie, it isn't unusual for a church to be reminded at the end of each year that this could be the year. They know that there isn't a set date. Yeah, that's true. But I guess by this kind of very soon imminent interpretation, near, at the doorstep, that's kind of date setting, I think. And it's kind of it's a marketing tool, isn't it? I long to see Adventist leaders and pastors speak online without sounding like they're part of a marketing machine. Oh, we're on the very doorstep of Christ's imminent return. Like, I want to hear real people. And there's something within the Adventist system that almost guarantees, if you're watching and you're an ordained pastor or a conference worker or at the union level or division level, anything you write on social media, apart from a couple of people, I know a few of you are bold and share your opinions, but you've met pushback from doing that, haven't you? What kind of church or any movement, particularly one claiming to have the truth, sort of suppresses its very leaders from speaking publicly their own opinion and speaking without a sense of propaganda and marketing in their voice? I've got a theory that if people start to whisper when they're sharing something with you, be very careful of what they're selling. Oh, Test the Prophet. Great to have you watching. Test the Prophet, people. Go and watch Test the Prophet's YouTube channel. Watch, listen, read, and learn. It's honestly in the top 5 best Adventist topic social media platforms out there. The independent ministries are the most excited about pointing to the news because they have material to sell. Fear sells. Exactly. That's kind of what I just said. And that is so true. Fear sells. And the independent ministries, you go and watch these guys. Is Mark Finlay an independent ministry operator? I know you're Doug Batchelor, you're Arise, Light Bearers. What's the Bohr? Stephen Bohr. What's the other famous one that Matthew Cortman's been doing a bit on lately? I've forgotten his name. But boy, they must be raking it in. I have a friend that is very much involved with an independent ministry. And he said to me that the church, mainstream church, is concerned, very concerned about these independent ministries because they are raking it in. The one he was involved with, he said, was making millions a year. And, add a bit of fear with some rhetoric in there. Away he goes. So thank you, Test the Prophet. Mark Anthony, however you look at it, everyone will face Christ in less than 100 years. For everyone in this generation, it is imminent. And look, that is a great way to look at it at a personal level. My claim is, as a corporation, as a movement, claiming to be the last remnant, holding the last message for these end times, but I think that they cannot claim that right to do so much longer. They'll have to admit failure and allow another future remnant church to rise up later on. You cannot continue. I think it's past its use by date. But, come the turn of the next century, no, you cannot claim that you've got the end times message for this generation. Oh, dear. Here's a good one that Kimberly has said. Andy Mack, anxiety keeps members in the straight and narrow. GD has written, in South America, mainly in Brazil, you have perfectionist LGT types using Ellen G. White quotes to promote the second coming in 2027, and have convinced a good deal of radical fundamentalist Adventists on this. Yeah, I have no doubt, GD, and thanks for sharing that. And, wow, I can't believe I've been rattling on for nearly an hour. And, yeah, maybe I can do this again without too much stress next time. Kimberly, anxiety keeps no one on the straight and narrow, does it? If it does, is it love that urges us on to a relationship with the Saviour? Yeah, it's anxiety that keeps people on the Adventist straight and narrow, but hopefully it's love that urges people to have a relationship with their Saviour. And Peter, I predict that in 40 years you'll be standing before the throne of Christ. Thanks, Mark. As in standing before the throne of Christ with him saying, right, you're going this way or you're going that way. What do you mean going, yeah, thanks for letting me in. Let me know what you think there. I would like to say, and I said this the other day, and I'll do it on this one. It'll be easy to track. Season 7, episode 1. If you're watching this in 40 years' time, I guarantee the Lord hasn't returned yet. And hopefully that will contribute to the discussion. If this is still on social media somewhere, I'll be dead and gone by then anyway. So Mark Anthony, I'll be either blissfully unaware in no matter land, as in non-existent land, or I'll be before the throne of Odin or God or some supernatural being or life force or AI leader. I won't be here in 40 years' time. But if social media is still here, and if season 7, episode 1 is still here, watch this and realize that I was right. Jesus is not back yet. And got some comments to each other here, which is good. I'll just leave those. And I'll bring up Para Q Possamos. After decades of working behind the scenes in 5 different conferences for the SDA strategy and evangelism, I can say this: the urgency and the Maranatha slogan exist to keep you attending the church. That's true. That's a word I didn't use, the urgency. Very true. And donating to the organization. Yes, I do believe Jesus will come again. However, the SDA organization uses the second coming as a tool to make you loyal to your identity as an Adventist, instead of boosting your faith and hope for the second coming. Remember, in the SDA church, there is no second coming without Sunday law. So your hope for the second coming has always a remnant attached. Thanks so much for that comment. That was brilliant. Urgency. And that's what I'm kind of saying. No matter your personal belief, your personal wonder and joy and the solace you find in a soon return, and your patience. If it's 1,000 years, that's okay. I know a lot of people watching will have that view. That's brilliant. That's great. But as a church, using the fear and the tactic to create a sense of urgency, to me, they're doing it as a tool to get more members, to make more money. That's what I think. And some of you look like you agree. And others have said, oh, hang on, let's bring up Test the Prophet again. Parakew, Pasamos, they also hope it is soon so that the Sunday law vindicates them. That's right. That is true. But the Sunday law won't be coming, in my humble opinion. And Barry Ford, hey, great to have you watching, Barry. I think it is the trauma of the IJ that causes trauma. Yeah, well, maybe Adventists should do away with it, the IJ. You know, some of the Des Ford style gospel, the gospel Adventists, I call them. And Stephen Beagles has set up a great website where you can go and find links to other places where people are teaching the Adventist gospel. Stephen, if you're watching, can you put up that link? I've just got a mental blank what it's called. And it's a great link. I'll try and find it and we'll bring it up, because if you have this gospel Adventist view, it means that you can actually live within Adventism in a way that for you guys that are wanting to stay can find a workable little gem there, in my humble opinion. So yeah, go and check it out. It's not for me, even though I've helped Stephen with it. It is a workable solution for those that know they're never going to leave the Adventist Church. George has written, Peter, Adventism is the cult of Ellen G. White. Despite all the fraudulence that has been exposed, it's time to leave it alone because the church is not going to change. We have to move forward. George, I love what you're saying there. And George is going to be on the show next week. And Cherie Whitaker, if you're watching, I saw you there watching earlier. Are you going to be on the program tomorrow? Let me know in the comments and I can give it a plug. But I would suggest, George, even though I agree with you, particularly the church is not going to change. 100% agree with you there, George. And is it a cult of Ellen G. White? Well, it certainly places Ellen G. White at the top. She's the top of that pyramid. And that pyramid scheme. But we have to move forward. I'm suggesting that by talking about this kind of thing endlessly, SDAQ&A is kind of like a lighthouse in my mind, where as the light of our conversations revolves around, it lights up the rocks, so the ships on the outside of Adventism can go, hey, I'm not going to go there unless I can see a pathway to the shoreline. And it also lights up different sides of Adventism so that people can go, oh, yeah, I can live in here, or whoa, I didn't know it was like this. I'm out of here. Unless there is someone continually manning the lighthouse and putting out that information will not be revealed to, I think, the people that need to see it. So we have to move forward. And I think in this context, you're saying, look, you're sick of this kind of content. That might mean that for you, you don't enter into the debates. I'm not trying to change people's minds. I'm simply trying to show, as a former Adventist looking in, Adventists and people outside the Adventist church, this is what Adventism is. And if I stop doing that, and if others like me stop doing that, then the next generation coming along is usually unable to see this kind of information. The church is very good at suppressing, hiding, encouraging people not to see it. So while I've got the opportunity to show this kind of material of all aspects of Adventism into the public, I'll keep doing that. But in my own life, I've moved forward. There's a bit of a paradox there, isn't there? I certainly don't dwell on this kind of stuff in my everyday life, even though SDAQ&A has become such a important, I spend a good 6 to 9 hours a week on it. And that's why I love when people offer a donation, because it helps me to keep doing that. So I love doing it. But yeah, it's not something that I sit and ponder with angst over. Daniel has written, how SDA keep a Sabbath in a mega city without depending on from 1,000 workers in that day? Yeah, good point. Test the Prophet. The end time holding pattern began in 1844 with deserting their farms, businesses, and continues today with abandoning of living life to their fullest, but rather living under the guidelines of Ellen G. White. Man, Test the Prophet, you've just inspired me to go back to your channel and watch every single one of your episodes again. Just brilliant. I encourage everyone. So they're so easy to watch too. You've done an amazing job. Easy to watch, evidence-based. It's great. Thank you. And please come on the show, Test the Prophet. I've invited you. Email me. Well, we won't put your face on the screen. And we have Debbie Cozier. Wouldn't Adventism need to change its name if abandons believe in the imminent return? Seventh-day Adventist. Yes, that's a good one. What do you guys think? End time holding pattern, that's exactly how it felt for years. And Andy, you may not have heard me say earlier, the psychologist friend of mine, she termed when she counseled Adventists, their issue as being an end time holding pattern. And yeah, that's because she saw many Adventists. She couldn't believe it. In our conversation, she was like, I cannot believe it. She was a former Adventist. She said the number of people coming through with issues pertaining to this end time business. And that's who I was trying to remember earlier. Thank you, Adventist Analyzer. Walter Veith was the guy I was thinking of, the independent guy. And Matthew Cortman has done some great videos there. Go and check out Matthew Cortman with a K. But yeah, Walter Veith has set a new date, 2027. That's brilliant. So that gives him time to get more funds. I think I need to start a new channel and go with the traditional Adventists. Yeah, that's not going to happen. Let's see. Thank you so much for writing all the comments. I really appreciate it. There's some really well thought through comments here. Kimberly has written, let's see if Walter can actually live that long. So would be to his advantage if he doesn't. Look, I wish him well and that he can live a long life to see his predictions not come true. So he's got, 4 years on it. It's coming in 4 years, everybody. As I said, watch those watching this in 40 years' time. From now, I'll be dead and gone. But this social media platform, if this show is still out there, season 7, episode 1, validates, confirms that I was correct. Jesus has not returned. But hopefully many of you have had a great 40 years. And if you've lost loved ones, you can look forward to seeing them again. If the Christian perspective is correct. Adventist Analyzer, error is not the end of Adventism. They just excuse it away or blame the underlings. Yeah. Excuse me. Proves how we as Adventists read the Bible with the great controversy lens. Totally true. Thank you, Test the Prophet. You're kind. I'm glad it comes across as kind, but my motivation is not kindness, even though I'm glad it is kind, what I say. My motivation to promote your YouTube channel is because it is genuinely an incredible channel. everyone watching, please go and join, sign up, subscribe to Test the Prophet. And Rodney's gone. Hello, Peter. Hey, Rodney. Glad to have you on the program. Mark Finlay is an employee of the GCW. Thank you. Matthew's watching. Good to see you watching, Matthew. Loved our recent interview. A lot of people have said, when's Matthew coming back? That's awesome. So your, what is it? Heretic day doesn't seem to be fast approaching. Nothing negative came through. Yeah, and I've got this thing. I was watching, I was preparing for another, next week's Tuesday, my time, Monday, your time, reaction video, the short one. And it's on LGBT and some of the latest work that Mark Finlay has done. And he and Ted Wilson are together in a video talking about this. I'm going to be doing a reaction video to that. And what hit me is, I reckon, and maybe he's too old for it, I don't know, but I reckon Mark Finlay is being groomed to become the next president of the Seventh Adventist Worldwide Church. You heard it here, folks. Another Peter Dixon prediction. All of which so far have come true. Compliance document, Ted Wilson back in power, women's ordination vote, getting the no. Maybe I'm a prophet. Prophet Pete. Daniel, in what mind does it occur to you to think that an Adventist can keep a 24-hour rotation on a Saturday without depending on the work of others in a mega city like you? Yes, good point, Daniel. You said that before, and I agree. Like, how? What kind of mind thinks that can happen? Ellen White is slightly different to what you're suggesting there. Recommended that if people wanted to keep the Sabbath, they needed to move closer to the equator. Love it. And Matthew, shockingly, I have a positive view of promoting the imminence of his return. I think the Western world in particular often thinks progress will continue forever. Memento mori. Is that imminence or imminent as the I'll just bring that up again. We've got imminent with an E is about to happen, and then imminent with an E, imminent with an I, imminent with an E, existing or operating within. Which one are you referring to there, Matthew? The imminent or imminent? Oh, hang on. Where's it gone? It's all disappearing. Anyway, you know what I mean. There's two different meanings there. And so you think Western world in particular often thinks progress will continue forever. I think there's a third option. Progress doesn't have to continue forever, but the Lord not returning might continue forever. Like, you don't have to have, he's going to return, breaking the loop of progress, thinking that we're going to keep on progressing. I think maybe we're not going to keep on progressing and the Lord's not going to return imminently. To me, those two don't have to be an either or. There can be another option where humans just keep on existing, thinking they're progressing, always going backwards, 2 steps forwards, 2 steps back, the 2 for 2 dance. Jesus will not return in 100 years or 1,000. No one can accurately predict any time frame. Exactly. That's kind of what I'm suggesting. But I'm also suggesting not in the next 40 years. Oh, dear. And Rodney, Peter, you're still kicking against the pricks. But by that, do you mean speaking against the leadership of the church? Kimberly, I don't see how the two issues need to go. Hey, Kimberly, we're on the same mind wave there. Thank you. And that's true. Oh, thank you, Matthew. Always make me laugh, Matthew. Thank you. And Rodney. We should have both of you on the show together. I'll have a good time. Okay, we're going to have to wrap this up. I did not expect this much involvement, but I really appreciate it. This is a Wednesday program, which I'm going to try and keep to under an hour. I have thoughts on the penchant for eschatomania among SDA. I'm happy to share sometime, Peter. Ah, cool. I think I know who that is. Let me just, whoa, hang on, what's going on here? Forgot to turn off the joy of going live here. Can I say who that is? I think I know who it is. And I think you mentioned that you'd written to me earlier and I didn't get it in time. But yeah, I'd love some thoughts on the eschatomania amongst SDAs. You always surprise me with your views there. And attending and paying. Andy, is that what you're still doing? Is that what you mean? Cox, an Adventist evangelist, said 2000 AD was the second coming back in the 1990s because it was 6,000 years of human existence. It would also be the start of the 1,000 years. Exactly, Barry. I do recall that. He got his calculation for the JWs. And Rodney has said, I'll try and be quick with some of these. I'd love to get through all the comments. When the Sunday law does come, what will you do, Peter? I'll run to the hills. I've got a stash of baked bean cans up there. And I must remember my can opener. Some plates, knives and forks. My little cave I found in the Wadigan Mountains is right by a stream. I'll be able to live in that cave with baked beans for a good period of time there. How would you get rid of the IJ and keep St. Ellen? 61 lone Viking. Very good question. You can't. And that's why George is correct. Adventism will not change. It's not going to happen. And Kimberly said, Rodney Smith, you are too funny. Kimberly, he is. I thank Rodney for his mirth. If Adventists only believed in the book of Hebrews, half of the problems would be gone. So true, George. And I think Des Ford had a very workable solution for all of that. If you go and not too many episodes ago, I did the complete 1 hour talk, October 27, 1979, Des Ford. In that 1 hour is the complete manifesto of what Adventism could have been. But because Adventism will never let go of Ellen White's ongoing authority, yeah, it won't happen. You're right, George. It's not going to happen. If the day comes when they put Ellen into perspective, that all that will mean is that we're dreaming. It just won't happen. But those who have the Adventist gospel within Adventism, unite, get bold, shout it from the rooftops. Rodney, wake up. It is not biblical. That's true. I've looked everywhere for Catholics will impose Sunday law at the end time. It's just not in Revelation or Daniel. And Andy has said, what do Jehovah's Witnesses, Mormons, and Adventists have in common? A prophet. Not sure. You tell us, Andy. And Mark Anthony, Peter, I didn't know you were sympathetic to Scientology and believed in UFOs. I thought you were Christian. Yeah, I am not sympathetic to Scientology. I do not believe in UFOs. My AI comment earlier was a joke. Ladies and gentlemen, the truth that we hold as SDAs is the truth. Stand by it. And look, even though Rodney says a few things that make me laugh, I would like to see the Rodney Smiths of the world, their Adventism, left alone. Let them go for it. The Ted Wilson, Mark Finley, soon to be GC president in my predictive realm, let them have that church. And Adventists and gospel Adventists, come on, unite, be bold, shout from the rooftops. Start your own little network within the church. You don't have to leave, but you at least get to share what you think is the Adventist gospel and create a space for people that are born into the church or those coming into the church. Like no person does unless they're 25 plus and has mental health issues. Sorry, I delete that last bit. But my point is that if you create a gospel Adventism that is bold and loud and clear, you can attract people to that. And those who are the traditional Adventists, like Rodney Smith, leave them be. You're holding each other back. And the progressives are quiet and silent until they retire. And the Ted Wilsons are bold and loud, and let them have it. You're not going to change them ever. Create your own new thing within the church. Right, the utter unbiblical nature of Adventism is the best education for Christians. Yeah. Andy Mack, fundamentalistic beliefs in general. And George 61 Lone Viking agrees with us there. There is not one thing that is true in Adventism, theologically or eschatologically. That's an interesting claim. I'd say maybe there is not one thing that is original in there, apart from the IJ and Sanctuary Doctrine, which is just a rehash of already existing biblical content to re-engineer the big mistake that was made in 1844, in my humble opinion. Peter is wrong. While hating against the SDA Church, he still sends his daughter to our school. Something is wrong. Man, I love Avondale School up here. Great school. They have early childhood, primary school, high school, down the road college. What a great institution. Send your kids to Avondale. They're a great institution. I don't hate Adventism. What, Rodney? Thought you were a friend of mine. Why are you trying to throw me under the bus? Oh, this is exciting. You have emailed me. Maybe it went to spam. I'm going to open my spam folder straight after this interview and write back to you. Can't believe that. Thank you for letting me know. George, again, and thanks for watching, George. I really appreciate you, and I'm looking forward to our interview next week. I think Wednesday my time, 11:30. Tuesday evening, 5:30 your time. Put that in your notebooks, everyone. The prophet has been tested, and the results have been devastating already. Agreed. She has been tested. She is a false prophet. And long may platforms like this herald that information for the oncoming generations. As George, you relax into retirement and enjoy a pina colada on the nearest beach. We're going to wrapping it up before 1:30. Rodney is a good example of non-Christian behavior I've often observed from SDAs, turning a comment into a lurid deal meaning statement, going off topic to attack the presenter. Typical Adventist. You know what, David, I hate to agree with you, but it's just so true. The Adventist apologist is soon and easily triggered into ranting, attacking the presenter. Ad hominem attacks abound within Adventism. Look what they did to Canwright, Dudley M. Canwright. So sad, so sad. And Rodney, we'll let you have another say, even though you're throwing me under the bus there, buddy. What's going on? What's going on, mate? God may just be kind enough to you, Peter, to allow you to see all these things come true. Okay, give me a time. When is the Lord going to return? Give me a time frame, Rodney. When do you think, personally, just in your own little secret moments, in your own little quiet moments, when you're pondering life, love, and the universe, when do you think? Give me a time period. In the next 2 years, in the next 4 years, in the next 10 years, in the next 40 years. I want you to say it on the program so that we can have a reference point to my suggesting that people watching this in 40 years will note that Christ hasn't returned. When do you think it will be? Write it in the comments there. Carl, we are told by Jesus and Matthew to watch and be ready. This is not just an Adventist thing, but a Christian thing. And Carl Wagner, love your Carl's Chronicles, by the way. You are a gospel Adventist, and I hope many people go and check out. Those interested in gospel Adventism, go and check out Carl's website, because Carl is promoting what a lot of Adventists should be pondering, that it's not an Adventist thing, it's a Christian thing. Just watch and be ready. And I guess my point, Carl, is that the church as a movement, as a denomination with its claims to be the remnant, can't go on predicting that the imminent return, this soon on the doorstep return, that there's got to be a time period for saying that that institution has failed. Not what you personally believe, not what the Bible teaches, but the Adventist remnant movement claiming any day. That's what I'm focusing on, is trying to see if that is a problem in discussion with you guys. George, are you suggesting my prediction is wrong? Erton Kohler will be the next GC Pres. Trust this brother this time. Okay, George, it's on. I say Mark Finley. Mark's a bit old though, isn't he? He's kind of Ted Wilson's age. Is Erton Kohler younger? Is he just as conservative as Ted? Barry has written, it would be interesting to do a study with date setters to see how close their date for the second coming to their retirement date. That's good, Barry. Here's a good point. Adventist Analyzer, the return was imminent in the 1st century. Today it is a past event. Amen. Am I the only one seeing Peter speaking before hearing him? Oh, look, there could be all sorts of delays. Sorry about that. Tessie, and wrapping it up in 3 minutes, everyone, and lay the guilt of the reason why he hasn't yet come on the fearful shoulders of the susceptible people. So true. He's coming back. He's coming back within 2 years. We're on the doorstep. Look at the signs. 2 years later, he would have come back if you had followed the true teachings of Adventism. Next day, he's coming back at least in 2 years' time. Look at the signs. The signs are there for everyone to see. 2 years later, he would have come back if you'd followed the teachings of Adventism for these last days. You're right, Tessie. That just goes on and on. Tessie from New Zealand. Come back home, Peter. I did. I came back home. I left the Adventist church and I came home. It's the best thing ever. Okay. Let's just have a look here. Seeing if there's any other last minute things to read. Yes, Rodney, Weet-Bix is Adventism. Peter is still one of us. When I left Adventism and came home, I brought the box of Weet-Bix. I love Weet-Bix. I have Weet-Bix every day. I had it today. There's a new kind of Weet-Bix. It's been around for a while, but it's in little tiny chunks, and it had little berries in it. And what's it called? I don't know if you get it in the States. I'll send you a packet if you want, plus $100 postage and handling. It is so yummy. I bought it for the girls because it's just a little bite size. So nice. Peter is another false prophet, not Mark Finley. Erton Collar will it be? We'll see, George. We will see. That will be the first prediction I've gotten wrong, and you are correct. It will place me in the false prophet category. Tessie from New Zealand. It's like a child waiting for his birthday party. It's soon, but the day comes and there's no party, neither the next or the next. It's sad, isn't it? It's true. And then the parents say to the kid, if you'd been good, we would have had the party. It's your fault. And the next year comes, party. It's going to be a party. It's coming very soon. October 22 on your birthday. Birthday comes, nothing there, nothing there. Why didn't my party happen, Mum? It's your fault. It's your fault. You weren't good. That is good. Tessie, you're on fire. Brilliant. Thank you very much, Laurie. I've enjoyed this discussion. Thank you, Peter. I always learn so much from your program. Thank you, Laurie. And it's probably because you're learning like me from all the comments. We're a great little community here. I appreciate that. I love giving Rodney a little bit of airtime. Peter is a believer. He's just been hurt. I can imagine Rodney saying this. Remember what I said earlier? If someone talks in a quiet voice, what? They're selling something wrong. Peter is a believer. He's just been hurt. He will be coming back home. Smile. Rodney, I haven't been hurt. I haven't been hurt. Matthew. Yes, I think George Tichy about Urton being the next GC president. You two false prophets. He won't be. Mark my words. And yes, George, 2 weeks. Oh, I got that wrong. Yeah, okay. I'm glad you reminded me. I would have been advertising. Cherie Whitaker, if you're watching, are we on tomorrow? Okay, we're wrapping it up now. Okay, so you're suggesting, George, that your guy was groomed by Ted as well. Matthew, test the prophet. Matthew, I'm curious if there are requirements to become a GC president. Good question. Maybe Matthew Lucio should be running for president. Other than being a pastor, of course, I'd add other than being an ordained male pastor. There you go. And Matthew has answered, but don't forget to add male pastor. Okay, we're wrapping it up. We'll give Test the Prophet the last word here. In your studies of history, are the ones nominated those who are already within the inner circle, or have there been nominations of your average pastor? I think it's rigged for whoever the current leadership is to keep their ilk in power. Rodney, I'll give you the last word. I can see you breaking down in tears, crying on your own show. I'm here for you, Peter. Thanks, Rodney. I don't think that's going to happen. Thank you, everyone, for watching. I've really enjoyed today's program. We've been discussing how soon is soon, and I hope that you continue to add your thoughts and comments. Please, if you'd like to support my channel, I could really use the help at this time of year, particularly. Just lean in, hit the your phone and on the QR code there. I'd really appreciate that. And if you can't scan, you can go to paypal.me/Peter Dixon Music and make a donation there. I tell you what, that really helps. I can really use that support. Thank you. See you guys later. And don't forget, tomorrow there will be an interesting show. Not sure who's on, but see you tomorrow.